AI should not be inventing your content from a blank canvas. If you're asking AI to generate hundreds of hooks for you, you are wrong. You need to give it the proper context. And in this workflow, I can show you how to start from scratch and end up with a polished script, hook, whatever you're looking for that is based on actual evidence for your target audience. And trust me, for the past several years, I have been stubborn just thinking that GPT, Claude, is gonna just give me an output of hooks for my TikTok videos, for my landing pages, whatever. And it never can do it correctly. It cannot humanize the content. It just is bad at doing it unless you give it the right tools. So let's dive in. The first and one of the more critical points to this workflow is the starting point, which is going to be the customer noise. Now, the customer noise can be from anywhere. And that's why you need to develop an agent workflow that's going to mine it continuously, and it's gonna obviously get it from the right direction. So this could be from Amazon reviews, TikTok comments, Reddit posts, YouTube comments, competitor reviews, support tickets, post-purchase survey analysis, and even chat boards, I don't know. Anywhere your customers are and they're posting about it or they're writing about it, your agent needs to mine that information because it's very valuable. The goal is not to create better content. The goal is to get better raw information from the buyers themselves, and then that will equal better content. So once you have all this information in this customer noise, what we're going to do now is figure out the buyer phrase. With this information, you should be able to use AI to help you build out phrases that work for these buyers. Save the real phrase that somebody used. Save where it came from. And you'll see a correlation between these because these types of audiences typically say the same things on these sources, these social media platforms. You don't want to clean it up too much. You want to leave it and make sure that in the back end of your OS, it is showing the distinction between the comments and the source. Because ideally, a hook without a source is a line that just guesses and sounds confident. We cannot have that. Once you find the real phrase, the agent finds the pain underneath it. So that will lead us to our next point, which is to get into the buying pain. Customers rarely hand you the perfect marketing language. They just don't. They're gonna ask things like, does this actually work? I hate the taste. I don't wanna feel weird taking this. I bought something similar to this and it did nothing. Just a lot of fluff, in my opinion. There's zero context to any of that. If you didn't like the taste, what did you not like about it? What flavor did you have? Was it sour and you just don't like sour? Then why did you even buy a sour flavored product? I had a mushroom coffee company that you grounded like regular coffee. So you put it in, you put the grounds in the coffee pot, let it brew, etc. But because traditional mushroom coffee was instant, people weren't reading the directions on the bag and they were just throwing in a cup of water, stirring it and drinking it. Obviously it didn't taste well, but we got this bogus feedback and a lot of one-star reviews on Amazon around this. And it was so frustrating because the customer, in our eyes, was incorrect. But that kind of information that we're getting was not going to be helpful here in this workflow. What the agent needs to find in this buying pain is the emotion behind it. The fear, the doubt, the confusion, the desire, the objection, and the use case. But it's very important that that's what we're pulling. We're extracting this from that buyer pain, even if we have no context on it. That's why this is important. Because when we're crafting an angle, it's not gonna be random. It's really gonna come from emotion from other customers. And that leads us to the next point, which is the angle. Let me give you some examples of angles from this D2C supplement brand that we have called No Stranger. A bad angle, obviously, is try our supplement. A better angle and kind of what we attack is, look, you're not lazy, you are just a stressed out person and you don't even realize you're stressed. So to reduce your stress levels, you need to take something that's easy once a day and it's all natural. See, it's changing the perspective of how you word the angle because they feel the relevancy right away. They are like, oh, I know I'm not lazy, but maybe I am stressed. You got to understand the phrases and also what kind of buyer are we talking to? A solution-aware person, a product-aware person? All of these things matter. The angle should, in a way, feel like the customer got caught talking out loud, right? Like, I'm not going to go and tell people this product tastes great. Okay, let's just pretend it has flavor to it. The better angle is the hardest part of taking supplements is not the discipline. It's not hating the taste of it, which some people have problems with that. Because then if you have these agents working up into this point, it's gonna take the angle you had based on the previous 3 stages and it's going to route it And that's the next step, is routing. Routing is important because we have customer noise, we have the phrases, we have the pain points, and we know the content angle that we crafted based on those. How do we route this? Well, this is gonna vary for every business. Where are we using these? Because hooks are used everywhere for e-com. It could be an ad hook of a static image ad, of a UGC video. It could be an email subject line, a landing page section, an FAQ section, an entire TikTok script, a YouTube script, customer support information, or just you're testing your offers, which is one of the more important things to do. And that's why it's like the hook is not the final output here. The route is really the output. Yes, the hook is what matters, but you need to know where it's being routed. And that should be actually delivered from the beginning of this process, understanding this workflow can be used in a variety of areas. But today I want to just focus on my UGC creators, my affiliates. I want to help them find good hooks. So you know this going in, we're going to route this as TikTok hooks. And that context is going to matter because the hook matters on which platform or which area we are utilizing it. And then the last step of this workflow, and a thing that gets undermined all the time, people just ignore it, is the readback. Now, it's very important you do this. And almost all my agent workflows, I use Hermes Agent as my harness for my entire OS of my business, of the code base I built. But the readback has been the more difficult things to build at times, but also the most important. What we need to do is train this OS on what's working and what's not working. I mean, that's the name of the game of e-com, right? We all know that. So if we're using all of these different alternatives and contextualized phrases and making sure we're going this phrase for this buyer, this phrase for this type of target audience, etc., we need to give it some sort of performance review. Now, I have an agent that is literally designed in my Hermes OS that generally scrapes my TikTok, my meta ads, all of the points of where my channels of revenue are coming from, and it points revenue or just performance, CTR, watch rate, hook rate, etc., back to the content angle that we ended up crafting, or the hook that we crafted. This is a little bit more complex and probably needing of another video, but you have to close the loop here. You got to give the performance to what was done, because this workflow will improve over time if that's the case. If we know that people that are taking this are hybrid athletes that also work 9 to 5s, that are just so stressed out, but they're very motivated individuals, and we know the hooks are working for that buyer point, now we can tell the beginning of this workflow to find more like this. Or it could be the opposite. If it's not working, we tell it, look, it's not really working. We need to expand our horizon of our search and find different niches, different pain points, whatever the case may be. This is going to help you. I see too many e-com brands that are just shooting in the dark from what they think, from common sense wise, is going to work for their brand. And every platform is different. Meta ads is way different than TikTok. TikTok is way different than Instagram, in my opinion. So because of that, you need to make sure you're really mining the correct information to give you the better output. Now, if you like these workflows and you want more of it, please like, subscribe to this video, because I want to be dropping more of what's working for our brand and how we are doing e-com, because I don't see a world where a lot of people are going after these agent harnesses and utilizing them in the e-com space. I know people are doing it, but I don't see much content around it. And that's kind of why I opened up this channel. Every time I see people using OpenClaw, Hermes, or just Cloud Code, Codex, etc., it always is coming from a place of software development. And I'm not a software developer. I have used these tools to develop software, but I have used these tools to create me a giant operating system for my brand, which is basically hundreds of markdown files for context. So I can build automations that are based on that context and give me better outputs for my business and for my brand. And it has been helping a ton. So if you want more like this, like I said, like, subscribe, let me know. I'm always open and my DMs are always available.